What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Move Local podcast, brought to you by The Movement. My name is Dalton, and we are back with another episode. It's been a while, been a little bit MIA if you guys haven't noticed, but we're back, and we're going to be approaching the Move Local podcast in more of a seasons style versus me trying to put an episode out every week. So if you guys are tuned in for the first time, welcome. On this podcast, what we like to do is sit down with business owners, community members, people that are doing really good stuff in the Hamilton local area, highlight them, share their stories so that you guys can meet them. We're just going to dive into the episode that I have for you this week. So I'm super stoked to have my friend Connor on the podcast. He is the owner of See Potential Training, where he focuses on improving people's mind and their muscle and how they fuel their body, and helping them with all their personal training and nutritional needs. So I'm super stoked to talk to Connor about all that stuff. How are we doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for the intro. You got the tagline, you got the name, everything. That was good.
Yeah, it's all about branding. I know that's an important thing to you, and it is branding to me. How's the day been so far?
Day's been good. Worked with a couple clients, coming in to see you. Yeah, no, the day's been great. Cool.
Where I want to start is to get a little background into you. When did fitness, health become a thing for you? Has this been something you've done your whole life, that you transitioned into a job, a career? Has it been something you picked up later on in life? When did it start becoming so important to you?
Yeah, it's funny. I think fitness has always been really important. I can remember back in high school when I was an athlete in high school, so there was just watching a lot of athletes kind of take off. I knew I had to do more stuff. So it's funny because in high school I used to get my sister to come record times, and that's when I started programming for myself and looking things up online and building out fitness programs for myself. So I always had this just inkling to program and get fitter and understand why people are more athletic, they can jump higher, they're stronger, etc. And I was always just drawn to it. So I think my natural interest became a passion, which ultimately led to doing it as a career, longer ways down. So yeah.
When did we start getting into fitness as a career?
Yeah, so it was after school. So I graduated with a business degree, and then I had a couple jobs I did not want to stay at, and I was like, I got to figure out something to do here. I got to stick with something. And I remember getting my first gym job selling gym memberships, and I was like, this is good because it applies business, and I like the gym. I can learn something, and it was great because that environment just taught me so much, and then I also got to just learn more about how the body works and everything along with business as a whole. So again, down the road that allowed me to run my own business and then also really dive into the body and how things work that way.
Cool.
Yeah.
So there's always a difference between something being a job or something you're passionate about, working for someone else, and then transitioning into doing your own thing. So that's a big step. What kind of led you to be all right, I want to go in, I want to do my own thing, I want to create this brand, I want to start helping people on my own?
Yeah, I don't believe that training is this thing where we just show up and tell people how to lift the weight a certain way. That's obviously an aspect of it. I think it's connecting with the human being and understanding their why and their purpose. And when people, feel like you have an understanding of them and they know why they're doing the exercise, not just, go do a chest press or go do a squat or whatever it may be. They know the real purpose behind it. They're more driven. They're more driven to learn and understand. The autonomy becomes better. And I think that's actually how you get people to better results, right? A lot of people in their lives have trainers or different health professionals like yourself, give them advice, but why does the advice stick? Well, the advice sticks when, they know that you're caring for what they want and what the true background purpose is. Not everyone just loves fitness like myself or like yourself, right? They want it because it helps them lead a healthier life and it allows them to have a bigger purpose and do the things they like to do in their life. So when you kind of look at it through that lens and you look at the human being that's, working with you, etc., that's actually how you get people the results. And I felt like that is a need that was maybe not being met at times or doesn't scale well for bigger box gyms or different places. So for me, I wanted to fit that niche of how do I actually help people grow and become better humans, and feel powerful and feel strong and feel confident in this realm of fitness, which can be a little bit daunting, right? So yeah, that's basically why I was drawn to it, just fixing that problem, I think, that I saw in the market.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I can relate to that a lot. I think a big driver of why we started the movement and why I kind of went out and did my own thing was that same feeling. And I was listening to, I don't know where I heard this, but I think it was probably Alex Hermosi who brought it up, but he talked about like things that allow for entrepreneurs to be successful, or kind of some of the things that you need to do that is you need one of three things. And he talks about pain, passion, and profession. And so like you either need to be like have a pain point where it's like something so bad that you're like, hey, I feel like I can do this better. You need to be passionate about it, or like it's a profession that you are already doing because you know that it's a viable thing that can actually make money. And he's like, if you have one of those three things, more than often than not, you're going to be able to start and get on the journey of being a successful entrepreneur. And then if you have all of those things, that's obviously putting you in a very sweet spot. And for me, I never saw myself as an entrepreneur. Like growing up, I wasn't someone who was like slinging candies in school or like flipping shoes. Like you hear all these stories about people that do that, but I related to that because like I think I hit honestly close to all three of those things on my journey. Is like the pain point was like I honestly didn't see myself staying in the profession if I had to go down the path that I was on when I first started my career. It was just not enjoyable to me. It was not kind of the route I wanted to go. So there was that pain point. And then passion, like this is what I'm most passionate about in my life. Like I talk about it all the time. And then from a profession standpoint, we know that, you know, healthcare can be sold. It's probably the market is massive in general in terms of generating revenue. So it's interesting to hear you say that because I think I can relate to some of those things.
Totally. Yeah, I think the pain point, like we all go through, again, injuries, different, you know, courses of life where we're in better shape or not so good a shape, or we're in a rut, or we're, you know, at the peak of what we're trying to do. And I think, you know, having a good structure as far as your wellness along, like all through that is super important. So for me, I'm trying to help people build a structure that serves them through every part of life. You're not always going to be, you know, your fittest. You're not always going to be able to compete if that was what you used to do at a high level for a period of time. Like you're going to go through periods of life, seasons, right? So I think I want to be there with people through all of them, and not just when they're in that motivated stage, I guess, right? Like I have a passion to help people through the lows and the highs, and actually help them, you know, accomplish their potential. That's why my brand is C Potential, right? Obviously I changed the C from CSEE to C because of my first name Connor, but like...
Oh, that's why I did it.
Yeah, that's why. You didn't know that till right now? Are you serious?
No, obviously
okay. I was gonna say, so some people just goes right over their head. They're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah. But like, no, I think sometimes you need someone to see the potential in you. And I think I've always been a person that believes in the ability of a human being. Like, I think there's just science and research and constant examples that like we have so much ability, and just so much of it is untapped. And once you get your brain, the blocks in your brain kind of out of the way, which again, like that's why it's mind, muscle, fuel, like that's the first hardest piece, right? After that, like the rest is just piecing it together. If you can get over the blocks and start to believe in yourself, and we've talked about this like with injuries, right? If you can believe in yourself again, that I can accomplish this, that age is just a number, like these actual real things, what you can do is incredible. And we see it all the time. It's just believing in yourself that you have that ability, and that's what I want to help people do.
I love that.
So
it's funny because like a lot of people will probably come to me and be like, all right, Connor, just give me a meal plan. Just write my program.
Yeah.
He's like, that's it. I just want to get jacked.
Yeah.
Like, just give me the plan to get jacked. How does that go, you know?
Yeah, it's funny. Like if I had to compare myself, like I'm very like a soft approach, hard approach. I have both sides. I love when people are like, I want to get jacked and get really muscular and fit. I want them to be their absolute best, right? And I look at humans that are like in that shape, and I admire it. But at the same time, it's not just a program that gets you there. Because I'm not like, you have to show up there by yourself. It's also how you train. I watch a lot of people train with not enough intensity. They don't understand like the actual mechanics of it. They're just kind of moving the weight, and that's where programs fall short, and then they may blame the program as the problem, right? So when people come and train with me, it's more of an understanding of how to lift properly, how to lift depending on what your goals are too. I always sit down and talk with people, like a cookie cutter program won't fit you because you haven't given that person your goal, right? Like if you go buy a program online and it's not customized to your personalized, right, to your injuries or needs or goals, etc., then what is that going to do for you? But if you tell me what you want to achieve and then we reverse engineer, that's how we actually create something that actually gets you where you want to be. Because if you're training for a sport, it's different than if you're training for, mass, right? You want to get bigger, you want to lose weight. That's going to change how you do different things, right? There's so much. And again, I find one of the biggest value adds that I give people is I disseminate information for them, right? Like, they look at so much. They're inundated with data and information all the time, especially if they're actually concerned about their wellness. Like, they just get hit with it all the time on social media. And it's like how I can kind of get rid of some of the stuff that's BS and like help them focus on the actual big movers, like the 20% movers, right? And not get caught up in the minutia or start taking a apple cider vinegar gummy, because that's going to solve all the problems.
When they just need to hit their protein goals.
Yeah, like, let's just change your diet first. Like, let's hit like some big things first, right? Before we start worrying about that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and it's tough, man. It's a tough out there for people who are trying to improve themselves. And like, I was talking about this actually today with Jess, one of our physios. I was like, it's hard for us, and we know so much, to like disseminate through all that.
Totally.
I'm like, imagine you knew absolutely really nothing about this topic, and you're trying to take in all that information and
For sure.
apply it. It's like I try to remind myself that, because it keeps me empathetic for what the people are going through, because I'm like, oh, this is actually really hard. Like, the decision to change your health and your nutrition and start training, that shit's so hard already to even just make that commitment, and then having to dodge all the BS that's going on. Like, I see why people get frustrated and overwhelmed and like have trouble,
Yeah, and I think that's also why people jump off whatever ship they're on, right? Yeah. They pull the plug on something too soon. I think a big thing I try to convince people to do is stick with whatever you're going to do for a period of time. And I usually find like 3 months is a good amount of time, right? It allows you to reestablish good habits and break old ones. And it also allows you to see some sort of result from what you're doing. Because if you don't give yourself enough time to see some sort of change, you can't prove or disprove what you're reading or what you're doing, right? If you're jumping around trying to catch up to the next best thing, then you're never actually going to see any progress, and you assume all of it doesn't make sense or doesn't work, which isn't the case, right? So for most people, and again, this is why when people work with me, I like to work with them for longer periods of time. Like, I don't want to work with you for just like 1 month, really. I don't want to work with you. I don't want to really just give you a program and say, see you later. Like, I want people that want to work with me for the long haul so that we can work through things together. And I think on that note too, and I try to tell people, one of the values I have, like value adds I bring, is that I work out. I try all this stuff. Like, I've been working out since I was 16, 15 years old. I've tried and tested these things, and new stuff that comes in, I'm always looking at it, and I'm always actually applying it to my life. Like, my favorite one is, I used to intermittent fast, and I did it for probably 3 years religiously. Like, my dad would always bug me. We're going out for breakfast, and I'm like, I don't eat till noon. Like, I was that guy for a long time, and I've actually changed my whole. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing or a good thing, but I've done it. It worked for certain things, and I changed it because, from my standpoint, I wasn't able to get bigger because I could never keep on enough mass because I wasn't getting enough calories. I also didn't have the energy I felt like to lift weights at the level I'm doing it now. And so I had to make a change. And that's the other thing people don't understand too, right? It's a journey. What you want right now and how you approach health and fitness right now, there'll be, again, seasons, and it'll change. And you have to be okay with letting things go. I was Mr. Intermittent fasting for a period of time, right?
Me too.
I just was. and I liked it. Mental clarity, blah, 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 all these things. But I also realized that part of that was because I had a bad diet sometimes. And part of it was, I would just eat later in the night, and that doesn't help you anyways either. So but you learn things about yourself, and it's not a waste. And I got leaner, and then I also hit roadblocks, and you adapt. And now I'm just way better at my nutrition because of that. And that's why I can help people a lot better, because I've really kind of nailed down my nutrition as far as it goes. Like, I know the levers to pull. And again, I will always take in new information and try stuff though. So I'm always going to be able to, talk about new topics and different things, which I think is really important. And it helps when you have an expert to do that. You cannot be an expert at everything in the world. Like, go to the proper people like yourself, right? That just know a little bit more than you and learn. Mm-hmm. And then they can, sort out the stuff for you. Skip a step, right? It's easier. So
yeah, I think hitting on the journey thing is good, because I always tell people, like, look at training or rehab or whatever as a skill. And this is a skill that you're building to be able to make decisions that are going to be impactful for your progress. Yeah. And you can learn skills on your own, but you could also learn them faster by having someone guide you through the process and actually help you stay consistent to build those skills. So like the skill of strength training, that's a skill that you need to develop. You and I have been developing that since we were 16 years old, because I've been training that long as well. But the reason we're able to do the things we do now is because we've built that skill. It's the same thing what you're saying with nutrition. And I think a lot of people jump into it with this idea of like, okay, I'm going to jump in, I'm going to lose the weight, and then I'm going to jump out, and then we're good. But that doesn't help you make decisions when shit hits the fan and you can't train, and then you got to get back into training. Or shit hits the fan and you go off your diet, maybe you put on 20 pounds, and now you got to try to get out of that. You know? So it's like building those skills to navigate that, I think, is like truly where you can help people, you know, take control of whatever they want to do. And it sounds like that's kind of your philosophy in the sense of how you want to work with people. For sure. And I think, you know, I'm going to say this and it's going to be funny, but like one of the values that I had, like, again, one of the things I add that's valuable is like, I was the semi-injured athlete. I was like, I've gone through many injuries or lows or things that don't work. Like I had hernia surgery. I had like constant, I had tendonitis when I was in high school. I had all of these things. I had sciatic nerve pain in my back because of the hernia and recovering from that. And I lifted weights too soon. And there's all these pieces. And even now I'm, you know, going through the knee thing. That is the journey. Regardless of whether you sit on the couch or you go and get active in your life, you will get injured, you will have these things. I would rather be strong through that. And again, the knowledge you gain is so valuable. And you learn how to take care of yourself in those moments, like you're saying. But for me, I actually am so good at those areas, like low back, right? Again, knee stuff, like I'm just getting smarter. So I have to just lean into those things. I'm obviously not happy when they happen. It hasn't changed my training, but like I'm so much better for my clients because I have a little more information on how to help them. And that's just the journey that you go through in life. Like you're not going to get out of this life without, you know, some scars and some like damage, right? But I think we get caught up in what the actual damage is and we get caught up in the avoidant behavior. And I think what we actually need to do is lean into challenge so that we're strong enough to get through it when it gets thrown at us. Like it's just the same idea of like growth, right? You can choose that you don't want to grow or it's not important to you, but like change will be forced upon you at some point. So it's better to lean into it consistently and be looking at getting better. And I think anybody that, and this is again, my belief, but anybody that lifts weights, lifts heavier weights, like pushes themselves in the gym, whatever goal you have, knows that they can accomplish hard things outside of that place because of what they do. Because it just seems so much more, it's just a fraction less like than it was, you know, when you went into the gym. It's like, oh my gosh, why am I worried about that thing? I just put 300 pounds on my back. Yeah, totally.
That was awful.
It's like, I can send this email.
Yeah, I can send this email. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's this extra, you know, oh, that's all the stuff of the world that's not even our problem, that it fades away when you're in your body and your mind's focused on a goal. And again, I think people get really caught up in like, I don't have the body type for this, I'm not genetically inclined to this, all this stuff. Like, you build it. You can build it all.
Yeah, bro, I was 260 pounds and now I run marathons.
This is the thing. Like, I didn't know that when I first met you. And like, I think like looking at my like genetics, like my dad had heart disease. I constantly get told, you know, to watch out for that when I go to see doctors and stuff. But like my heart's great. My life, like I'm extremely healthy. That doesn't even cross my mind. But like I was an athlete because of my determination and what I put into my body extra. And, you know, though I didn't hit like maybe as high as I wanted to hit, it's cool because it set me up to live this other life, you know, and I take pride in the fact that I'm a really healthy individual and I have all this like potential. Like you saw the video last week, I deadlifted 345 the other week. And the thing that people don't know about that is at one point I was like throwing my back out like once a month. And I remember I had a really good friend when I worked at that gym before I was a trainer, and he was helping me, you know, work through this. But what happened was when I, you know, had torn my stomach, I had to go get surgery, and then, you know, I'm sitting with the surgeon, it's just take 8 months off. But I didn't understand how to get my core stronger again, like my abs stronger again. I didn't know how to I didn't understand that my brain would not be able to kind of communicate with them as well. Like there was this, you know, timeline of and a way to build back that strength and, you know, neuromuscular connection again. And I didn't understand any of that, so I just went back to lifting, hurt myself, and people would say that's stupid, and then again they go away from it forever. I had so many people watch that video and like, I have friends that don't deadlift anymore, they don't do these things anymore because they're scared of it, because they had a bad experience. But it's like, you just didn't have enough information. And so how do you build back? You build back by working with professionals, getting more information, retraining your body, and then you can get back doing those things. When you stay away from it and you fear it, it comes back to bite you later in life, right? So to round up that like conversation, one, I was just proud of myself in that moment, but I'm sharing this story because like I remember the first time I lifted 300, deadlifted 300 again. I think I told you about this. I had on my sheet that like, I just wrote, my back is strong. Like I wrote, my back is strong because my core is strong and my glutes are engaged, or whatever I wrote on there, like cues to remember what to squeeze and what to lock in to like protect my back. But like I was taught those things. I had to relearn those things. I had to work with professionals. I had trainers. I've had many trainers, right? Like, but I can do all this stuff again. And now I don't even think about it. But like literally I can think back to that time, and I was, every month, and then every like 4 months, and then every year I would like throw my back out randomly, to the point where I couldn't get off the couch, to the point I couldn't go to like the car, like get in the car. I've been there. And so that is not a death sentence. That is not a stay away from those things. That is not a forever thing. That is a right now. And that's where you have to, and again, going back to why I like doing this, I like having these conversations with people about, we have to get the belief system back on again. If you don't have hope, then you're hopeless, right? Like you have to believe that you can, come back from this. And also understand that 100%, we're not even trying to get you back always to 100%. Like we can get you to 90, or your new 100 can feel different, and you can do different things. Like, but most people, these injuries, they feel like, again, death sentences, they feel like a forever thing. They get told that by people. But when you step into your body and take control of what you can do to recover and rehab, and then get stronger and build and build and build, and you put years of time into it, oh my God, you can do amazing things. And I just believe that. So I'm just trying to get people to, that's what I want to do with my business. I want to reignite the belief that they have in themselves about what they can accomplish in any aspect. It goes bigger than fitness, but just that's the starting point, right? So
No, I love it.
Yeah.
How has that been? Like, what are some, like, have you had some clients that have been, you're like, oh, dang, like, these people are coming in here and they're fulfilling on that? Like, any experiences that you've had with that? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I think I've had a couple people. I worked with one lady. She's a mother of two. She runs her own business now, which is incredible. And like, I was even talking to her on the phone today, and she doesn't work with me, all the time anymore. I work with her kids sometimes, actually, which is great. So like, that's kind of the full circle moment, right, for everything. But she never stops working out, and that's even just a big change, right? It's like I remember when she first met me, she was like, I don't like working out, I'm never going to. And she still talks fondly about when we were doing 3 times a week in my garage. She was like one of the first clients I had. And now, even on her tough weeks where she's doing her job or she's running her business and she's, has her kids, like she doesn't not make it a priority. And that's a change, right? Like, I think we only see sometimes on social media this like ginormous change of like, I lost 100 pounds and now I'm this like jacked, fit, blah, blah, blah. And fitness is my whole life. And people go, well, I don't want it to be my whole life. And it doesn't have to be. It has to be a part of it. And where you want your potential to go is your choice. But that's what I think the difference is. You're looking at like all these people and I can't be that. Well, maybe you don't want to be that. Maybe you just want to be in good shape, feel confident, be able to go for a run, be able to play with your kids. Those are all, really good goals. And a little bit of effort goes a long way over a period of time, right? But there's other ones I could, definitely talk about. I think I've broken people's ideas about what they can accomplish. Like the amount of times I've, given someone, like same client actually, I'll go back to this. This is a good moment. I remember handing her a 50-pound dumbbell. I think it was 50 pounds, and that's how much weight she had lost. And she was squatting that, and she was like, oh, I can't believe I carried this around all the time.
That's wild.
And like I've had, other females especially, like just pick up heavy things and go, oh wow, like I can do that. And I'm like, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Like,
and you could do more.
You could do way more. Let's put a bar on your back. And again, that's why I upgraded the gym. Like that was the biggest thing. I was like, I need to be able to get people under a barbell because they will be able to lift more. They will surprise themselves. And again, life just gets easier after that. And your fitness takes off, right? Like that's the caveat, right, to things. People don't realize that, they look at people that are in really good shape and they can use genetics, they can use whatever they want. But it's the work that gets put in, and it's like, but it's lifting heavier things and like constantly growing. That's why I tell people, just your weight should be going up every 2 weeks, most of the time. Like you should be trying to push towards new numbers. And sometimes you take a week and it's a deload, or you're taking a back seat to things. But when you're pushing towards something, like you need to constantly be growing.
Yeah, I think you hit on a good point, is like hyping up the consistency. Like we need to put that more on a pedestal. Like, I think about the people that we work with here. We have a group strength class that we've been putting on for the last like 3.5 years. And most of the people coming into that class have never used had never really strength trained and never used a barbell before.
Yeah.
Our evening class, 2 of the individuals in that class, one being male, one being female, they've been with us for 3 years. They've trained twice a week here for 3 years, barely missing. And the one lady in the class, probably about just before New Year's, deadlifted 185 pounds. And like the weight is irrelevant in the sense of like, it doesn't really matter, but that's pretty damn heavy in general. But like the fact that she went from being scared of a barbell, never using it, to be pulling 185 off the ground for like 2 or 3 reps.
Yeah.
Like that's what it's all about. Like, and the only way she got there was the consistency of showing up twice a week for 3 years, which like, that's what needs to be hyped up, is like, that's the hard part.
Yeah. The number one thing, like I talk to people about this when they come in, how many times a week do I actually have to work out? And I was like, 3, 4 is probably my that would be my best case scenario. I think you'd be really happy with your level of fitness at that, doing that. Like strength training 2 to 3 days of those days, doing some cardiovascular training, on the other days to a degree, and then doing things that you love that's lifestyle based, right? Like that's the other piece. Like active, fit people just enjoy activity, so they start to do it. I have a client, again, she lost a ton of weight. I wasn't a part of that part of her journey, so kudos to her for what she did for herself. I think it was well over 100 pounds, I think. But she came to me with, I want to, take it to the next level. But, we always have conversations, and it's great because she's like, I hike now, I do these things, because now she just doesn't have this extra weight on her body, and she's just more active in general. She just enjoys these activities. So I think you can't believe what you don't, I always say this the right way. You can't believe sometimes what you can't see, or what you haven't seen in yourself. And that's the biggest, hardest thing for people. If I've never seen myself at this peak level of fitness, or this look aesthetically that I want, I don't believe it. And it's like, it is there for everyone. And again, that client is a great example, because now she looks at herself, she's like, it's amazing. She's like, I just look and feel so much better. And it's incredible to like listen to her talk about. There was one other thing I was going to say there. I can't remember what it was now, but maybe it'll come back to me. But you said something good. But yeah, like it was the lady lifting 185, right? Yeah, the weight doesn't matter, but sometimes when you throw these weights out at people, it like really shocks them. That's what it was. My mom saw a picture of the new gym build that I have at the house, right, where I do most of my client stuff. And she was like, people lift all those heavy weights? Like, she just looked at all the like plates and was like, people are gonna lift that stuff? Yeah. Like, they're gonna lift most of that rack. I probably need more. Like,
yeah.
And again,
that's the idea what you said though. Like, you can't see, if you've never been exposed to it, or you can't see it, we have these beliefs that we hold.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into some rapid fire questions.
Okay, sweet.
First one. Squat or deadlift?
Oh, deadlift for sure.
Okay. Assault bike or rower?
Assault bike.
Okay. Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Beer or wine?
Ooh, neither. I don't drink. It's a hard one for me.
What would be one of your favorite local restaurants? It could be
restaurants.
Anywhere around here. It could be even out in Grimsby.
Yeah. I'm a big breakfast guy. Like, I love breakfast.
Bro, me too.
So like JJ's on the Dock is really good in Grimsby. Like, I love being there because it's near the water and it's just super nice. And they have like a breakfast poutine, which is unreal.
We got to go to JC Bagels.
JC Bagels. Where's that?
It's in Burlington. It's right across from the gym.
Okay, I'm down. I've had good bagels before, so I'm down.
No, you haven't.
You haven't had good bagels until you've had good bagels?
The bagel breakfast sandwich at JC's.
All right, I'm in.
You had a rapid fire question that you were asking me about before. I want you to bring that one up.
Yeah, it was a would you rather, because I like would you rather. I think they're fun. So, Dalton, would you rather front squat a live seal, or like sea lion, or would you rather back squat a cactus?
Yeah, I don't really prefer a back squat. Like,
fair.
So that sways me away, and like I think I could handle a seal. Yeah. Like if I had to like wrangle it in.
They're slippery.
They're slippery, but I think I could get a good like.
It's also alive.
Get good grip on it.
Yeah.
So I would say front squat a seal.
My biggest question for that question is how heavy is a cactus, and I don't know. Like
that is a determining factor.
I'm dealing with the prickles, right? I'm dealing with those.
But it
on
could
my back.
be like.
But if it's light, are they just full of water? Are they just made up of water? How heavy is it? Because if it's light, I'm taking the like little pricks in my back and I'm just like pushing through it.
How heavy is it?
And gritting it out. Seal's heavy.
Like how heavy we think?
You got to be 200 pounds.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like a cactus is not that heavy.
And I think we're overestimating or underestimating like the niceness of a seal. I don't think they're that like nice.
No, they're not. But
like,
all right. Well, what do you guys think? Let us know.
Yeah, you let us know about that one.
I think I'm still sticking with the seal.
Okay, you're sticking with the seal? I think the seal would be more fun because it would just be like, exciting to do. You gotta like wrangle it up, put it under your thing like this. I just want to know, like, somebody hit me with the cactus, like how much they weigh.
That's a good question. Okay, the last question I like to ask everyone on the podcast, kind of like wrap it up, is what does move local mean to you? Like when you hear those words, what does that mean to you?
Move local. I mean, what I would lean towards is like move more towards supporting local businesses. Obviously when I hear move, I think, exercise, that kind of thing. And then local is just, local businesses primarily, but like, and I think again, for me with fitness or with exercise, like relationships are a huge part of your success, I think, in that. So when you choose to go to local businesses, especially for your exercise and fitness plans and physio and different things, like you're going to build a relationship too. And I think you get also access to their network. Like when I, work with clients, obviously introduce them to yourself as well and people I know. And I think that maybe is a lost thing that we have. Like community is super important. Like I go to my mechanic back home. Right. Like my dad and my sisters all go to the same mechanic. Like when you support local businesses, you have relationships with the people that you work with that service your car or your body or whatever it is, right? Like those are lifelong relationships. You can trust those people. And then stress goes away because you're going to the right place. And I think, again, so when I think move local, support local businesses, I think relationships and support and, that, so.
No, sweet. Love it. I appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Kick off the new season of the Move Local podcast. We got some fun guests lined up. I'm not going to spoil anything yet, but we're kicking it off with a good guest. So if you want to let people know where they can find you, learn more about you, working with you, your business, all that stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, so you can find me at cpotential.ca. My Instagram handle is Mind Muscle Fuel. I have a newsletter that you can subscribe to if you want information and just to stay in touch. But definitely reach out to me on any of those channels. And
sweet merch.
Oh yeah, I have awesome merch that you can buy at my store online as well too. This guy loves the lightning bolt shirt.
Sweet merch.
There might be some new stuff coming out soon, so I'll drop that in there. But I love, he said I love branding, so. And I think clothing is a representation of feeling, right? So when you feel good, you're excited, like you lift heavier, you lift better, you have more fun.
Basically lifted the most weight I've ever lifted in this t-shirt.
There you go. You see, it's a powerful t-shirt, energy, that lightning bolt.
Get one. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out on any of the episodes coming out. We are going to be dropping this on our YouTube channel as well, so you can see our beautiful faces. If you listen on audio, make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you're listening. Make sure you're there so you don't miss out on any episodes. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.